Listen to me. If you're waiting for next year to become disciplined, if you're waiting for the right moment to change your life, if you're waiting for 2026 to finally become the person you know you could be, you are already late. Time is not coming to rescue you. Motivation is not coming to save you. And nobody is going to show up and hand you the life you keep dreaming about. This is the moment, not January, not next year. Now, I'm going to give you 6 truths, 6 corrections, 6 wake-up calls. Fix these now, and your entire future shifts. Ignore them, and you will still be having the same conversations with yourself 5 years from today. Let's begin. Listen to me closely, because this is where everything changes, or where everything stays exactly the same. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they settle. They quietly accept a version of life that feels just tolerable enough to survive, but never demanding enough to grow. They wake up every day negotiating with mediocrity, telling themselves, "This is fine for now." And that phrase, "for now," becomes a prison sentence. Your standards are not just preferences, they are instructions to life. They tell the world what you believe you deserve. And right now, many of you are underpricing yourselves. You're showing up late, quitting early, and explaining it away like it's normal. It's not normal, it's costly. Every time you tolerate less than your best, you reinforce an identity that says, "This is who I am." And identity, once repeated, becomes destiny. You have to understand this. Your standards shape your behavior, and your behavior shapes your future. If your standard is convenience, your life will be small. If your standard is comfort, your growth will be limited. But when your standard becomes excellence, non-negotiable, relentless excellence, your actions are forced to rise to meet it. High achievers don't rely on feelings, they rely on principles. They don't wake up asking how much effort they feel like giving. They already decided who they are before the day started. They already chose the level they refuse to drop below. That's why they're consistent when others are emotional. That's why they win when others are waiting. Standards eliminate decision fatigue. They remove excuses. They leave no room for negotiation with weakness. Look at what you allow in your life. Look at what you laugh off. Look at what you keep explaining instead of correcting. That's your real standard, not what you post online, not what you say you want, but what you repeatedly accept. If you accept being tired all the time, you'll live exhausted. If you accept being disrespected, you'll be surrounded by disrespect. If you accept half effort, you'll get half results. Life will always meet you at the level you tolerate, not the level you hope for, not the level you dream about, the level you're low. And the hardest truth is this: nobody is coming to raise your standards for you. That is your responsibility, and yours alone. Raising your standards will cost you something. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you familiarity. It might even cost you people who benefited from the old version of you. When you decide you no longer accept laziness, excuses, or inconsistency, you disrupt patterns, and not everyone will applaud that. Some will feel threatened, some will feel exposed. Some will try to pull you back to who you used to be, because that version made them comfortable. But growth is not about being liked. Growth is about becoming aligned with your potential. And potential does not respond to comfort. It responds to challenge. You must demand more from yourself before you demand more from life. You must look in the mirror and decide, I am no longer negotiating with my lowest self. That means holding yourself accountable when no one is watching. That means showing up prepared even when no one expects it. That means doing the work thoroughly, not quickly. Excellence is built in private, long before it's recognized in public. And once you raise your standard, you don't lower it on hard days. Hard days are the test. Anyone can perform when it's easy. Standards exist for when it's not. This is where transformation begins, not with motivation, not with inspiration, but with a decision. A clear, firm, unwavering decision that says, from this point forward, this is who I am. You don't need permission to demand more from yourself. You don't need validation to stop settling. You don't need a dramatic moment, just courage. Courage to say no to what weakens you. Courage to walk away from what no longer aligns. Courage to hold the line when excuses try to creep back in. Because once your standards rise, your life has no choice but to follow. Raise your standards and you raise your life. Everything changes when you finally decide that average is no longer acceptable, and today is the day that decision must be made. Hear this with absolute clarity. If your life feels unstable, inconsistent, or stuck in cycles you keep repeating, it's not because you lack talent or intelligence. It's because your relationship with discipline is broken. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is self-respect in action. And most people treat it like an inconvenience instead of the foundation it truly is. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated. They wait for the perfect emotional weather to begin. But life doesn't reward feelings. It rewards follow-through. When discipline is weak, potential leaks out through excuses. When discipline is strong, progress becomes inevitable. Motivation will lie to you. It shows up loud and confident, then disappears without warning. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet, unglamorous, and relentless. It doesn't care how inspired you feel. It doesn't negotiate with fatigue. It doesn't ask for permission. That's why the most successful people aren't the most hyped. They're the most consistent. They've trained themselves to move even when they don't feel like it. They understand something most people never learn. The mood follows the action, not the other way around. Waiting to feel motivated is how dreams die slowly. Acting with discipline is how they stay alive. Every time you skip what you said you would do, you are sending yourself a message. That message says, my word doesn't matter. And over time, that erodes your self-trust. You start second-guessing yourself. You stop believing your own promises. You hesitate when opportunity shows up because deep down, you know you don't follow through. Discipline repairs that relationship. It rebuilds confidence brick by brick. When you do what you said you would do, especially when it's hard, you start walking differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. Not because you feel powerful, but because you've proven it to yourself. Discipline is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the essential things consistently. It's waking up when the alarm goes off instead of negotiating with comfort. It's choosing progress over pleasure, long-term growth over short-term relief. It's eating with intention, working with focus, resting with purpose. Structure creates freedom. Without structure, your days get hijacked by distractions, impulses, and other people's priorities. Discipline protects your time. It creates boundaries. It forces clarity. When your days have direction, your life gains momentum. Understand this, the hardest part of discipline is the beginning. Your mind will resist change because chaos is familiar. Inconsistency feels normal, but once discipline becomes routine, it stops feeling heavy. It becomes identity. You stop asking yourself if you're going to do the work. You already know the answer. That's when life starts moving faster. That's when progress compounds. The pain of discipline fades, but the pain of regret stays sharp. One strengthens you, the other haunts you. Choose wisely. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You need to start honoring small commitments. Start with one promise you refuse to break, one habit you protect no matter what. Let discipline prove itself to you. Let it show you that you are capable of more than you've been set. Link 4. Because when discipline becomes non-negotiable, excuses lose their power. Your future stops being a question mark and starts becoming a direction. Fix your relationship with discipline now, and everything else will begin to align. Because the life you want isn't built on motivation, it's built on the decisions you make when no one is watching. Look at your life honestly, not the version you post, not the version you explain away, the real one. Now look at the people who have the most access to you. Your time, your energy, your thoughts, your emotions. That right there is not a small detail. That is a deciding factor. Your circle is not neutral. It is either pulling you forward or quietly holding you back. And most people don't realize this until years have passed, and they're wondering why they haven't grown the way they promised themselves they would. You don't rise in isolation. You rise or fall in community. Who you consistently allow around you shapes how you think, what you tolerate, and what you believe is possible. Energy transfers whether you believe in it or not. Attitudes are contagious. Mindsets spread faster than advice ever will. When you sit in rooms where excuses are normalized, you slowly stop questioning your own. When you surround yourself with people who complain about everything but change nothing, stagnation starts to feel acceptable. And the most dangerous part is that it happens quietly. No alarms, no warnings, just slow erosion. You start shrinking your goals to match the room you're in. You stop talking about your dreams because they make others uncomfortable. You begin editing yourself, not because you don't believe anymore, but because belief feels lonely in the wrong environment. You have to understand these truths. Not everyone is meant to go with you. Some people are assigned to a season, not a lifetime. And when you outgrow a season, staying out of loyalty becomes self-betrayal. This doesn't mean they're bad people. It means alignment has shifted. Growth demands new conversations, new standards, new ways of seeing the world. And when you change, the dynamic changes. Some people will celebrate that, others will resist it. They will remind you of who you used to be. They will joke about your discipline. They will question your ambition. Not because you're wrong, but because your growth forces them to look at their own stagnation. Protecting your circle is not arrogance, it's wisdom. Access is earned, not owed. Your time is finite. Your energy is valuable. Your focus is sacred. When you give those things to people who don't respect your direction, you pay for it in distraction, doubt, and delay. High-level growth requires boundaries. It requires saying no without explaining yourself. It requires choosing environments that challenge you instead of validating your comfort. The people who belong in your future will push you to think bigger, act sharper, and demand more from yourself, not shame you for trying. And let's be clear, this includes digital circles too. What you consume daily is shaping you just as much as who you sit next to. If your feed is full of negativity, drama, and low expectations, don't be surprised when your mindset feels heavy and unfocused. You become what you consistently listen to. You adapt to what you repeatedly observe. Curate your inputs. Be intentional about the voices you allow to influence your thinking. Because you cannot build a powerful life with a polluted mental environment. This part takes courage. Distance feels uncomfortable at first. Loneliness can show up when you stop entertaining what no longer serves you. But that space is not emptiness, it's preparation. It's room being made for people, opportunities, and environments that match the person you'll be. Coming. Growth often requires separation before it brings connection. And once you experience what alignment feels like, being around people who challenge you, support your discipline, and respect your vision, you will never again settle for circles that drain you. Fix your circle now, because your future self depends on it. When you choose people who elevate your standards, your life has no choice but to rise with them. Fear has stopped more lives than failure ever will. Not because fear is powerful, but because it is misunderstood. Most people see fear as a warning sign, something telling them to stop, slow down, or stay where they are. That's the lie. Fear is not a signal to retreat, it's a signal that you are standing at the edge of growth. Every meaningful opportunity comes wrapped in uncertainty. Every next level introduces discomfort. If you wait for fear to disappear before you move, you will stay exactly where you are, safe, familiar, and unfulfilled. Fear doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you care. It means something important is on the line. Failure, on the other hand, has been unfairly branded as the enemy. From an early age, most people are trained to avoid it at all costs. Don't make mistakes. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't look foolish. So people learn to play small, aim low, and choose predictability over possibility. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. The people you admire didn't avoid failure, they outgrew it by facing it repeatedly. Every skill was sharpened through trial. Every strength was built through struggle. Failure doesn't break you unless you let it define you. What truly breaks people is the regret of never trying. The real danger is not falling short. It's letting fear make your decisions. When fear becomes the decision maker, your world shrinks. You stop taking chances. You stop speaking up. You stop pursuing what you want because you're too busy protecting what you already have. But safety has a cost. Playing it safe costs you potential. It costs you momentum. It costs you the version of yourself that only shows up when you take risks. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. And every time you choose courage, fear loses a little of its control. Most people are not afraid of failing in private. They're afraid of failing where others can see. They're afraid of judgment, afraid of being talked about, afraid of being misunderstood. So they wait. They wait until they're perfect. They wait until they're confident. They wait until the timing feels right. But perfection never arrives, and confidence is built through action, not waiting. The truth is, people are far more focused on their own lives than judging yours. And even if they do judge, so what? Their opinions don't pay the price of your unfulfilled life. You do. You must reframe how you see fear and failure. Fear is a compass pointing you toward what matters. Failure is feedback, showing you what to adjust. Neither one is permanent unless you quit. When you fall, you learn how to stand stronger. When you miss, you refine your aim. Every attempt builds resilience. Every setback builds wisdom. Growth is not a straight line. It's a series of trials that shape your character. And the people who make it are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. This is the moment to stop letting fear run your life. Stop asking what could go wrong and start asking what could go right. Stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios and start preparing for growth. Take the risk, have the conversation, start the thing. Apply for the opportunity. Bet on yourself. Because the pain of failure fades, but the pain of regret compounds over time. Years from now, you won't remember the embarrassment, you remember the chances you didn't take. Fix how you handle fear and failure now, because on the other side of both is the life you've been afraid to claim. And the moment you decide to move anyway, everything changes. Big dreams don't fall apart all at once. They don't collapse with a loud sound or a dramatic moment. They fade quietly through small decisions that seem harmless in the moment. Skipping one workout, putting off one task, choosing comfort one more time, No single choice feels like failure, but repeated enough times, they create a life that feels far from what you imagined. That's because your life is not built in breakthroughs. It's built in routines. What you do consistently matters more than what you do occasionally. And until you understand that, you'll keep chasing big change while ignoring the small habits that actually create it. Your habits are the silent architects of your future. They are shaping your body, your mind, your confidence, and your direction, whether you're paying attention or not. Every habit is a vote. Every action casts a ballot for the person you're becoming. When you wake up late, you vote for chaos. When you consume negative content, you vote for distraction. When you avoid discomfort, you vote for stagnation. The scary part isn't that one bad habit can hurt you. It's that habits work in the background, slowly defining your identity without asking for permission. You don't wake up one day with a broken life. You wake up one day realizing you've been building it the wrong way for years. Mornings matter more than most people want to admit. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. When your mornings are rushed, reactive, and unintentional, your entire day follows that pattern. You end up responding to life instead of directing it. But when your morning is disciplined, wake up and you move your body, clear your mind, and focus your intention. You step into the day with control. It's not about having a perfect routine. It's about having a purposeful one. A few consistent actions done every morning can anchor your mindset and remind you who you're committed to becoming. What you consume mentally is just as important as what you do physically. Your mind is constantly being trained by what you watch, listen to, and engage with. If your daily inputs are filled with negativity, comparison, and noise, your thinking will reflect that. You will feel distracted, overwhelmed, and unfocused. But when you feed your mind with intention, books that challenge you, voices that inspire you, information that sharpens you, you begin to think differently. And when your thinking changes, your behavior follows. You don't rise above your habits, you rise to the level they've trained you for. Most people try to change their lives by relying on willpower. That's a losing strategy. Willpower fades when you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. Systems don't. Habits create systems that carry you forward even on your weakest days. You don't need to decide every day whether you're going to show up. You need a structure that makes showing up automatic. That's how progress becomes inevitable. When good habits are in place, discipline feels lighter. Momentum builds quietly, and before you realize it, you're operating at a level that once felt out of reach. This is not about perfection, it's about direction. One better habit can change the trajectory of your entire life. One intentional choice, repeated daily, can rebuild confidence, energy, and focus. You don't need a new year to start. You don't need a major life event. You need to decide that the small things matter because they do. Fix your habits and you fix the foundation everything else stands on. Fix your daily hobby. Now, because the future you want is being built today, one ordinary moment at a time. Choose wisely and let consistency do what motivation never could. Time is the one thing you cannot negotiate with, reschedule, or recover once it's gone. And yet most people treat it like they have an unlimited supply. They tell themselves there's plenty of time, that they'll get serious later, that the urgency can wait. But later is an illusion. Later is where dreams go to retire. Every day you delay is not neutral. It's a decision. It's a quiet vote for staying the same. Life does not pause while you figure things out. It keeps moving, and it keeps charging interest on inaction. The cost may not be obvious today, but it will be undeniable tomorrow. There is a dangerous comfort in believing you have time. It makes procrastination feel reasonable. It turns potential into a someday plan instead of a daily commitment. You start thinking in years instead of hours, in intentions instead of actions. But success is built on urgency, the kind that wakes you up early, keeps you focused, and forces you to prioritize what actually matters. Urgency doesn't mean panic, it means clarity. It means understanding that this moment is valuable and treating it accordingly. People who win move with purpose because they know the clock is always running. Most people don't lack opportunity, they lack urgency. They wait until the pain is unbearable before they change. They wait for a wake-up call, a crisis, or a breakdown to force them into action. But by then, the cost is higher and the road is steeper. Urgency allows you to move before life pushes you. It allows you to act from intention instead of desperation. When you operate with urgency, you stop wasting energy on things that don't move you forward. You stop scrolling, drifting, and delaying. You start asking better questions. What matters most right now? What action moves the needle today? There is a myth that you need to feel ready before you begin. That confidence comes first and action comes after. That is backwards. Confidence is built through movement. Clarity comes from doing, not thinking. The people who change their lives don't wait for certainty, they create it through action. They move, assess, adjust, and move again. Urgency keeps you in motion. It prevents overthinking. It replaces hesitation with progress. Waiting for perfect conditions is how people stay stuck in familiar pain instead of stepping into unfamiliar growth. Every year that passes without action compounds regret. The time you spend delaying today becomes the excuse you'll wish you had back tomorrow. You don't feel the loss immediately, but it adds up. 1 year turns into 5, 5 turns into 10, and suddenly you're looking back, wondering how time moves so fast. Urgency is the antidote to regret. It keeps you present. It reminds you that this season matters, that your effort today has consequences for the life you'll live later. When you act with urgency, you respect your future self. You don't need more time. You need a decision to stop negotiating with delay, a decision to stop pushing important things to the side, a decision to act now even imperfectly. Momentum is CR. Eat it by starting, not by waiting. The people who build meaningful lives are not the ones with the most time, they're the ones who value it most. Treat today like it matters, because it does. Fix your sense of urgency now, because the clock is not slowing down for anyone. The moment you decide to act is the moment your future finally begins.